want to see the babies. That's totally fine.
We are live.
Our whole house has been
Here we are.
for like the last 2 weeks with COVID and everything. So,
well, happy 3-3, everybody.
Yes.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
So exciting.
Thanks for having us.
We're
Absolutely.
excited to be here. And quick shout out to Aaron because it's his birthday.
I know we already told him
Happy
happy birthday.
birthday!
The perfect day.
Yes.
That's
3-3.
right. That's right.
He was destined for this lifestyle.
Yes.
Thank you, parents, for planning ahead for this. Yeah.
So have you guys watched the show? All of it?
Everybody's
yeah.
all caught up.
Yes.
All of it.
We finished the last episodes this morning.
Nice.
Actually, I was getting ready for this,
Jesse's from the
listening
last
to it in the background. Just kind of get myself ready.
So with us today, we got Triad and True. We've got 3-ring Throuple, the Traveling Throuple, and Triad in Texas.
Woohoo.
And us.
And us.
Cool.
All right, let's just jump into it. What's the first thing you guys want to talk about this show? What stood out to you the most?
I've not seen a reality dating show that bad since Flavor of Love with Flavor Flav.
I think we all have to appreciate and understand the fact that we it's no matter what, yes, it's about throuples, but it is still reality TV. It is still a dating show. It is still the dramatization of ridiculousness. So
Yep.
you really feel that, especially, it felt like it definitely kind of went along those lines. Yeah, where they were like, oh, let's add some drama. And it's or don't, let them figure it out.
Yes.
Right, but
but-
then would people still watch?
I
That's
feel
what
like
I'm.
we-
I feel like they would
point.
though,
I
right?
know, I think the same thing.
I feel like it's such a unique enough experience that you don't need to add the extra drama because this type of situation already has its own challenges that you don't have to just pile
That's
on
true.
the drama when you're trying to figure out how to navigate something like this. So
Well, I have to wonder.
Well, and I feel like you could really see where editing and producers got in the middle, especially with the conversation with Jonathan and Frank at the end about the don't try to steal my man type
Don't steal my
comment.
man.
And he was
Yes.
smiling and laughing, and you could tell that it was so fragmented together to create drama. And all
what
the
you
times
guys
that you could
did.
tell a producer sent someone to go into a conversation, I was like,
We got connection error.
this
Yeah.
doesn't need it. Why are you mad?
Yeah, they manufactured a lot.
Yeah, that's what you guys said. That when he said, "Don't touch my man," it was all fake. I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my god, Gatify!"
I mean, I do think he did have genuine feelings for those guys because he was very, he was crying later. So I do think it was very genuine, but that comment seemed very staged at that moment.
Frank was the collateral damage that made me very sad because I
Yes.
really felt there were a few people that I was like, oh, they really were just kind of tossed into it, and it I feel like they really did have the best intentions, and just the drama of the show, I think totally completely it was just Frank really was man, bless it. I was yelling at the TV screen today with Aaron, and I was like, we must protect Frank at all costs.
I know, it was so sad.
Yeah.
It was.
That's what made me really disgusted by the whole thing, because I saw it they're playing with people's lives and emotions. It was
Right.
so mean, so heartless. Just for what? For entertainment purposes.
Yeah,
It was
and
no
so
different than
fast
any dating
paced
show.
too.
Yeah,
And-
I mean,
They didn't all the stuff you want to know about another person ahead of time. They didn't do to the middle of it. They're like, so you want to be open, closed? How do you feel about kids? Where do you
Yeah.
actually live? What do you do for a living? It's like,
Right.
Okay.
that's the stuff any dating app would have covered before we even matched up.
True. And I feel and this is something that when we were watching it with obviously Rachel, because we watched most of the season with her. Hi, Rach. Love you. Hope you're having a good time in Phoenix. We some of their challenges that it was see how well you know your throuple. It was some of it was oh, like, you know, do you pee in the shower? Or like, the challenge of like, do you pee in the shower was the same as do you want kids?
Uh-huh.
And it was like, I feel like those
It's
are
a big difference.
Yeah.
We didn't
So-
really like the emphasis on how much the single was kind of separated from the couple.
All the time.
A lot of
Yeah.
the decisions that were being made, like ultimately came down to the couple.
The couple, yeah.
And the third person was kind of left out of a lot of the decision making, or just like the overall dynamic of their relationship. We felt like they were essentially singled
In
out.
so many
Yeah.
statements
I don't
they
think
were
I
like,
heard them.
Yeah.
I don't think I heard
Best
them
for
say
us.
anything about like uncoupling at all. It was very much like existing couple bringing in a
single,
third,
yeah.
and it was always like the third, the
Mhm.
single. It was never like
And what's
our
best for the couple.
They weren't really treated as like a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an object.
No, that's
that
true.
was very sad.
Yeah.
And then they
yeah.
started trading them around like you could pick one from another couple,
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
human white elephant gifts. It was like, are you kidding me? And if you picked them and you're like, oh, well, we picked you, so now you're sleeping in our bed tonight. Like, what?
Yeah.
That part. We definitely, when we were talking about it, when we were watching it yesterday with Rach, it was like that I think is like such an odd thing where it's like you
Yeah.
just toss in the single to essentially do something that is like, one, really intimate with like sleeping arrangements, but also like, I don't know about y'all, but like, you know, we do tend to sleep together, but a lot of throuples don't. Like that's like not
Yeah.
their setup, and so it's like, oh well, you have to, you know, we gave you a bed big enough for 3 people, so now you're just gonna like sleep with this other person, and like
Right.
don't worry about getting to know them, but you
And
do
you
have
don't
to
even
like
know
sleep
them
next to
exactly.
them.
They're
Right.
strangers.
I wonder-
That was weird.
I wonder if the producers even were surprised
That's my
how many throuples went the whole time without even ever having sex. I wonder if they just assumed that as a given, actually. And like, I didn't even think about that till just right now. I bet they did.
Well,
I think that
all
was
of
the.
It was like they put together a plan for a show that was much sexier than what actually ended up happening, because what actually ended up happening was much more people trying to make real relationships and usually failing,
Yeah.
and much less trading singles back and forth for just random play, which seems like what they had kind of more in mind.
Yeah.
They need to clarify then, are they looking for swingers or are they looking for polyamory? And from the
That's
very
right.
beginning,
Yeah, they had no idea.
Yeah. What were you saying, Mike? We didn't hear you.
I was just saying that I've tried to jump in a couple times. It just seems like the teasers, you know, the little previews for the show, exactly. You know, they've got was Scott, the host, tapping on the door. You know, like, ooh, what's going on in there, guys? Are y'all okay? You know, they
Yeah.
tried to really make it sexual. And the
Right.
other point I was trying to make earlier was I wonder if it was the decision of the producers, or if it was Corey and Wilder, you know, and Denise that decided to leave the show early, or if the producers were like, well, they don't have enough drama. Like their throuples actually like working out, you know, so, you know, let's get them off the show and let's bring in, you know, the Maximo
drama.
and Ash. Yeah, like
Yes.
the most dramatic people you could find.
So dramatic.
That's a good question. I assume they wanted to leave because probably they saw how negative the whole setup
They were the
is.
smart ones. They saw it was a game of human musical chairs. They're like, let's get out of here before the music stops.
Yeah.
And you saw that at the end of it where it was like people were like, oh yeah, I commit. And then they're like, oh, and then these people broke up and these people broke up and everyone actually, because we were obviously watching, everyone broke up except for that original,
Right.
the
Yeah.
OG.
Yep. Mhm.
Like throuple that were like, we're out. Like, which I thought was really interesting because it really did kind of play into that. Oh, they weren't reality show enough. Like,
Right.
and so like, and they're obviously, you know, still together. I assume they're still together. That's what the
They
show
are.
said. So
Yep.
like, good for them.
Yep.
To
Yeah,
touch
we've
on
been watching them on social media. They are still together.
Yes. If you guys are
Yeah.
watching right now, Corey and Wilder and Denise, come on our podcast.
Right?
Yeah, no, for real.
They're
We want to
great.
know what it was really like behind the
Can we
scenes.
talk about
I
From the
think,
very
uh,
beginning, they were so
I-
good.
can we
Their
talk about-
communication-
that?
What's that?
Yeah. When Wilder threw the chair in the pool and like removed the inequality, you know, between
his wife and their now girlfriend. That was such a good moment. I think all three of us yelled.
Yeah.
The best moment of genuine polyamory on the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say, so the conclusion ceremony was something that really bothered me, because you had them like, okay, the couple on one side, the single on the other, sure, and then it was like, okay, couple give a positive, single give a positive, couple give a negative, single give a negative, but there can't be any conversation between.
Mhm.
And I liked that a lot of them were like, hey, can we have a minute? Like, let's go off to the side and talk.
Yeah.
But the host was almost like, you really want to go and talk right now? You want to? Yeah, they want to talk.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure the producers were losing their minds.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But then it was like, you have to step forward for each other in the middle. Like, I don't know, like that, it seemed, I don't know.
Even
I
on
was-
the-
Hollywood.
I was literally telling Aaron that it would have been better if they would have hashed through the negatives and then ended with the positives. But of course, you can't do that because it's reality TV.
Mhm.
But like, I feel like it's like, yeah, like, say your, the negatives and then be like, oh, but do you want to be with this person? Like, I feel like even if they would have switched that to where like you could at least like feel positive, then it wouldn't have been, I say, oh, it wouldn't have been so much drama, but that's the point, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it used to be drama.
Even on the last night when they had to decide if they wanted to remain in their throuple, they separated them and made them. They didn't spend their last night together, so that could have been a whole night of conversations of working out those final details. But instead, they had the couple go back to the hotel, and then the single had to be alone, and they didn't have any of that time to communicate.
Yeah, that was unusual. It was just theatrical. That was the whole point of it.
The whole show.
And I feel like if you're gonna separate people, like separate everybody. No one gets to like like the couple,
Right.
anybody. Like if you're gonna do that, like do it to where everyone's by themselves, so that you can all think on it. Like if that's the thing, but
Yeah.
Well, it just seemed like they were making it up as they went along the entire show. Like, it doesn't look like they went into any kind of a plan. It's like they were just making it up on the spot.
Well, they definitely didn't seem like they wanted anybody to succeed at it, because they didn't give the singles any type of training, and they weren't. Even the therapy was like, let's see if you guys can put together a tent. It was like, what is that? Is that going to work? How is that supposed to help later on in
Hold on,
life?
real quick, pulse check. Who here has put together a tent with their throuple? Anybody?
We haven't.
Hold on,
That
no.
would be interesting.
Legitimately.
We're our viewers.
I made them. But we have done a corn maze, and I think that
We
might
did
be
do
a
a
start.
corn.
I made
We've done Legos. We've done a lot of Lego stuff.
I made Mike and Bobby go camping one time.
I can see
Nice.
fighting like crazy to do something like that.
Yeah.
I see why that was a needed thing, to see how well you work as a team. Yeah.
Yeah, but so they have this poly expert on the show that's supposed to be a resource for the couples and the singles and everything. You barely see the woman.
You barely see her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she was seen less and less as the show progressed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was really hopeful for the show. I mean, I went into it knowing it was going to be a train wreck. It was going to be all trash TV drama. But I was hopeful. I was like, oh, they're actually going to have an expert on there, somebody to guide it through. And then like they had no real like sit down structured
intervention.
kind of therapy sessions and stuff like that. That I was kind of hoping for.
Well, and obviously, like, quick shout out, my partner who's in Phoenix right now on work, she is a poly psychologist. And it's like, we had so many conversations where Rachel was like, why would they do it like this? Like, they should be doing it like this. Like, things should be happening differently. And truly, like, there were moments where Rachel was like, where's the expert? Like, this would be a great time for her to step in and be like, hey, like, let's talk through
Them
this.
to succeed, right?
Yeah.
Which is so unfortunate.
Do you
I
think
totally agree. Like,
are you guys happy that this actually got publicity, the throuple dynamic, or do you think it did even more harm than good by having this in a reality TV show? I mean, we got so much attention these last few months just because of that show.
Yeah,
I've
I think
got
it
mixed
has
feelings.
its benefits I think it has its benefits to like bring awareness to the community in a way of like curiosity. I feel like because of the show, people are Instagram searching or TikTok searching the word throuple, and then healthy examples of throuples like us are showing up and they're able to see those. But if people aren't doing those curiosity searches and they're just going off of that show and seeing what the show depicts, like they're gonna continue to think what many people already stereotype about polyamorous people, that it's all sexual, that it's all like pick up people, play with them, throw them away, like and it's like it's not like that. But I do think it has like a good and a bad, because like I like you guys are experiencing, like we've seen a big uptick in like curiosity and people asking like good, valid, healthy questions like towards us, and like it's been nice.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to get the extra attention. And I think it's on us now to show the, like you were saying, Ness, the healthy example of a throuple.
Yeah, I certainly don't want Maximo and Ash to be, the spokespeople for
right. That's a whole different topic for us, because like we're part of like the queer community, and like that to us, like when they came in to the house, we were so excited because we were like, wow, like I'm non-binary, so like to see non-binary folks on the show, I was like, wow, like that's great. But then like as the show progressed, I was like, wow, they seem like some of the most toxic people.
A bad example. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, this isn't great. Like it was already kind of hard for us to see, like they had like a gay male couple, but the rest was very much like a bi woman and a straight male. There was no like lesbian representation, which was a little bit hard. But I was like, if you're a show and you're looking for willing people, like maybe you couldn't find a lesbian couple, sure. But like then we saw the queer people and it turned into that, and we were like, okay, well that is not only a bad representation of polyamory, but that's a bad representation of like the queer LGBTQ community. Like, painting
it's a bad representation of humans, in my opinion.
And
feelings about Ash.
I 100%, and I agree all of that. I do also feel that they came into this situation at a time because one, it was for drama, but two, like they came into it when I think everyone else had like 3 separate swaps. And so we all saw, like, I feel like the first episode was, whatever. It seems like everyone was kind of doing okay. And then the second episode, like shit hit the fan. And I do feel like it was like everyone kind of got out a lot of their toxicity earlier on. And then you throw in Max and Ash at the 11th hour. And like, so they didn't go through their toxicity type of like ridiculousness at the same time as everyone else, so it just made it seem more toxic.
They compacted all of theirs in a very
And so I feel like if they would have maybe come in at the same time as everyone else, things could have been different. They could have like worked through some of their things and gotten to a place. But yeah, I agree absolutely with you that I hated the fact that it was like that was the representation of like the queer community, because that is, and it was like, oh, drama, and that is not what it is. It's just not. And so that was frustrating.
To play devil's advocate too, like I said, I've got strong feelings about Maximo and Ash, but it wasn't entirely their fault either, because night one they come in, they're elevated literally, in the Eden suite or whatever.
Good point.
Like, pick somebody for the night. This is not going to be the person that you're throupling up with. Just pick a piece of meat to go and have fun with tonight. We'll talk tomorrow.
And it can be somebody that's already matched up with somebody else. Like
I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Was it? There was an extra couple, or was it, or 2 singles?
No, they were singles.
They got brought in,
and
then they never talked about them again.
Bless it.
They just sent the one guy, the new guy, over to where Jonathan was like having the really intense conversation with like the former couple, and then they're all awkwardly like, how's your evening going? Until he wanted to
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm like, that's literally the only time we saw him.
Yeah.
He just disappeared.
I think he got punished for interrupting. They kicked him out.
Something. They didn't screen that guy out or something.
You're like, you're ruining good TV. Stop.
To their defense, I think they have a responsibility. The producers of the show, they have a responsibility to make money. So I don't completely blame them for the way they did it. I just think they could have found a way to get the drama. Like we were saying, there's plenty of drama in forming a throuple. You don't have to fake it. So they could have done it in a way that they could have also respected these people's lives and decisions and emotions and all that, and actually helped them become a throuple, which they haven't done at all.
How you work through that drama
Yes.
and get to the healthier side, because we
Exactly.
don't have the role models, we don't have the examples, and we all have faced it. We've all had a lot of conflict and tension, I'm sure, but with the right tools, the right skills, you can actually get to a healthier side, and that would have been really cool to see.
And there was none of that, right?
No.
Well, no, the ones that were like, oh, we've worked through to our healthy. We love that cat. It was like the ones that made it to a healthy place. They were like, not good enough. Bye. Like,
right.
Later.
Move along.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing I did really appreciate was that how clear it eventually became throughout the show that when someone was really being honest and vulnerable and genuine, if their partner or partners could meet them there, that's when people found actual success.
Yes.
And when they were closed down and being defensive and guarded and blaming somebody else, that was when they just lost, no matter what. And it was really nice, because I think that's true in relationships of all kinds, monogamous, polyamorous, non-romantic, as well. It was really nice to see, even with basically strangers and people in this situation that they've just all kind of been thrown into on reality TV, to see like real vulnerability and honesty still working for you, at least, and in the relationship too, when somebody would meet you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good
Like,
point.
especially the moments I'm thinking of when Corey would be really honest about the things that would cause her anxiety. And then both Wilder and Denise could meet her there. And like the moment outside the hot tub or the pool, when they said, well, but we're not having a good time if you don't speak up about these things.
Yeah. Right.
And Becca and Jess had some moments too where they talked about where they were. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What
Well,
about
you
that
saw that
part
too
where
with,
Becca started going around and spreading the drama? Was that staged or what? I'm sorry. I think
No,
that's
that
staged.
we have to talk about that. That was the worst part. The best.
It's
Oh yeah.
I feel like Becca, unfortunately, like just was kind of thrown in. One, I do think that she is like a lovely, beautiful person, and that did shine through. I do think that she was definitely like propagated for drama in so many ways. Like, you can only imagine. I would love to like just talk to her and like get her interview of like, hey, like, what did it look? Did the producers make you go and like sit with all the people and be like, well, because I do, and oh gosh, it really like, I felt so hard for her when it was like the whole like, oh, she's the third option.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I understand that like Max and Ash were mourning the loss of Jonathan. I get that. But also like, you still have like, listen, if you were that upset about it, go on as a couple. Don't bring another person in and let them be the collateral damage to you trying to figure it out and you being upset that someone left you. Like, and I felt for her so bad, because I did not feel like she ever had like the opportunity to actually like get to try to experience it in a fair shake type of way. First with Lauren and Dylan, and then obviously with Max and Ash. Like, I hope she's doing well. I really do. Like, I felt that so hard.
Yeah, we definitely thought she was being very gossipy, but obviously we don't know what's happening for real. We only see what they want us to see. So it's really easy to take the conclusions, to draw the conclusions that they want us to draw. But I really thought she is spreading gossip as much as she could. And I don't know why she would do something like that, other than the fact that she was just not a very nice person.
I think it seemed staged to me, like, because it was like,
but exactly. Was
the cameras and lights are set up. Go ahead and come on in and sit down and tell them.
It was just so obvious. Why would somebody even do that in front of all the cameras?
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
they would be put up to it.
Right. Well, it goes back to the point too. You know, I think that, you know, it's obvious. You know, they want to get as much, you know, ratings as they can. It's got to be sensationalized and dramatic and everything else. But I think, you know, again, to the point that the dynamic itself is, you know, it can stand on its own. It's compelling enough by itself that you don't need to add in all the drama. I would have loved to have seen more relationships like Corey Wilder and Denise, you know, blossoming and them working through the issues, like y'all said, you know, outside of the hot tub, you know, some of those things, working with the poly expert that they had, you know, and growing like that. Like, to me, that's compelling TV. I don't need all of the trash walking around. I know it's hot in Panama, but like, I don't need to see y'all naked all the time. Like, it's, you know, Sean and Brittany, you know, that's another one. Their whole, you know, relationship at the beginning with Sanu, who is also, my understanding, you know, a poly coach, you know, or therapist or coach of some sort, and they complained that she was taking it too seriously. You know, she was acting like a coach. Well, they admittedly come into the situation not knowing what they're doing or anything else. Here's somebody with, you know, a wealth of knowledge that's been in or around poly. I think she said her parents were poly as well. You know, they could have really helped them if they're genuinely there for, you know, the growth in the polyamory world. I mean, you couldn't land on somebody better than Sonu. So I was kind of curious about that. Like, if they really wanted to do this, why would they say, well, she's taking it too seriously?
Yeah, we were really rooting for Sanu's like representation, and we were really hoping that she would find a connection. We really liked her representation, and she mentioned that her parents had been poly for over 2 decades, so I thought that was really awesome for her to share in the show and just kind of show that like it can work for the long haul. But we really think that she was mature about the whole situation, and she really brought a lot of positivity to the show. We really enjoyed watching her.
I thought it was a shame though that like in her first coupling with Brittany and Sean that she mentioned feeling like dehumanized. Like, that was a really like that's a big thing to like bring to someone, especially a stranger. Like, hey, like, we're in this experiment together and I'm feeling dehumanized, and then for Brittany to immediately like
Just
put this,
they shut her down immediately.
Like, you're just feeding into the fact that she feels dehumanized. You're not treating her like a human at all. You're just treating her like, okay, we picked you, but you're not suiting our needs, so you know what, I'm all set. Like, no conversation, no back and forth, no nothing. It was just like, no, I'm all set. And it wasn't until she came back to them 2 days later, right before the stay swap ceremony, and she like broke down in tears and had to re-explain herself and almost like backpedal on her statement of feeling dehumanized, that they actually listened to her. And then it was too late at that point. I don't know. I didn't really
that was like one of many situations that led to me tweeting that the show, instead of Couple to Throuple, should have been called Attachment Issues on Display, because you could see the people who are like avoidant, you could see the people who are anxious attachment, like you could see it all just playing out in real time, and no one was addressing it.
I feel like
I would really love to see.
I feel like that's all they showed us too. It's like in the first, what was it, like episode and a half or 2 episodes, they did a really good job of showing us everything that Corey was struggling with. And then all of a sudden, like, was it by the end of like the 4th episode or something like that? We're out of here. Like, we're all good. It's like, well, obviously there was a lot of inner work and communication and everything that went on there, and they didn't tell us any of it. So there was some really good stuff, I think, happening behind the scenes, and they just hit it all from
wasn't drama enough.
I think to like touch on too, I think Triad and True, I think Casey, you mentioned that there was an expert there, but they didn't really show it. Like, I almost feel like, and maybe again, it's not reality TV that they wouldn't like it, but like, if you have an expert, why not have the expert like in the house with them, like on call, so to speak. So like when they're having these big blowout moments, or there's a disagreement, or there's some kind of an unhealthiness happening, like, call in the expert. It's a therapy session. Let's go. Let's sit down. Let's work through it. Like, instead it was like, let's leave these people that are not polyamorous up to the task of figuring it out on their own, and more than likely under the influence of alcohol.
Oh
Have
yeah,
fun.
there's always drinking.
And also, they had that opportunity, and they just chose
Right.
not to do it. Like, if
Right.
you have an
Let's only
expert
bring
on
the expert
site,
in. Let's only bring the expert in for these like sexually charged like activities that we're gonna do like every 3 days, right before
Yeah.
Stay Swap to
Yeah.
like stir it up.
well, and flat out, Rachel was like, this, like, this is dumb. Like, what?
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with like actual polyamory or like building relationships. Like, and Rachel was like, if I was the expert on the show, I would say like, no, I'm not. We're not going to ask that question. That's dumb. Like, how about we do this instead?
Yeah.
It's really interesting to
Can we,
like look at it from that.
start a
Vouch for
petition?
the expert too, because what was that?
Can we start a petition to get you on the show?
Yeah, that's what I
Next
Then they all would've
season.
left Throuples. Like,
Season redo.
Rachel,
I would love
for
to. Oh
expert.
my god, I would just.
I don't want to be on
Could see like
show.
Rachel there with like a referee outfit and a whistle.
yeah.
I don't want to be on the show. They
I
can't
don't blame you.
pick me enough. We have a good thing going. I feel like it would ruin our
Right?
relationship.
There's always like, because I feel like that's what they're going for. They just
Yeah.
want to like seed some discord.
Yeah, I feel like it was very objectifying. Like it was just
Yeah.
about like the sex and the appeal and
Yeah, the drama.
Don't worry, they had that like blacklight camera, the night vision cameras, full force. Don't worry.
Yes,
Don't
that
worry,
was
those are
weird.
there. Sometimes I think
We
that
saw plenty. We saw plenty from Ashmal and Ramon and Jonathan.
Yes.
Oh, you mean the covers moving?
Yeah. Oh, I wonder what
I
they're
wasn't
doing.
gonna say it, but
He said it.
It's a ghost.
Wow.
I think they were thumb wrestling or something.
Oh my god.
I think some of it was staged.
Rachel, how
Yeah.
would you have done it if you would have been the expert on the show? Like briefly.
Communication and attachment issues, the things that are coming up from the very beginning. There were so many opportunities to intervene, to teach people how to be vulnerable, how to communicate in the moment their feelings, and to understand why you're either pulling back or you're leaning in and sort of getting that needy, clingy sort of feeling. If you could taught even those two basic things, we could have had a completely different outcome.
Yeah. Is that something you would have taught them before actually going to meet each other?
In an ideal world, yeah, if we could have some prevention and even give you a heads up, this is some of the things that you might experience, or these are the feelings that are going to come up, and it's okay, but let's just acknowledge them. Let's be aware of what's happening and for what reasons, and then address them rather than be afraid of them or shut them down or whatever other unhealthy sort of behaviors. But then even if you can't teach them in advance, when it happens, let's still learn from it. It's okay.
Right.
Let's just take it as a learning lesson and then do something different moving forward. 100%.
Yeah. Did you find it? So I found it cruel when they did, I don't remember, the very first exercise they did where they were checking, I think it was jealousy. And they had one of the partners from the couples with the additional person, the third, doing some sort of touching or anything like that. And then the other person just watching. Did you find that cruel? Because I found that to be very cruel, like waiting for them to just.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just like slap a relationship onto these
Yeah.
people, a three-way relationship onto these people, and then have these people who are clearly already very insecure about things with no training, no therapy, no nothing. And let's watch somebody just be all over your partner until you have to use a safe word. Like,
Right.
what?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they
Push
they
it to
all
Go versus encouraging you to speak up the moment you're feeling something. Like the couple that left, or the tribe that left, the moment she felt anything, she spoke up. Great, awesome. Let's just slow down and address it now while we actually can do damage control
Yeah.
or prevention versus damage control way too far down the road.
Got a screaming child.
There's a baby. I couldn't hear what you said.
More opinions.
I was gonna say they also didn't do it with. They only did it with one, like
Partner.
one half
Of
of
the
the couple,
partners.
and then they
single.
didn't switch or anything. So there wasn't
yeah.
any.
Was it reciprocated?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. They
Yeah,
only
right.
had
I never
one
even thought
person
about that.
kind of experience it all for
Mhm.
Yeah, and I
themselves.
feel like I don't know, I don't remember if the couple got to choose who did what. I think they did, but like in like Corey and Wilder's case, like just as an example, like Corey was obviously the one that had more of those like internal battles that she was going through, whereas Wilder was a lot more like go with the flow. He was like really feeling it, really vibing with it, and like he was the one that Denise, you know, did the
They put
experiment
Corey on,
with,
like,
and
the
they
hot
put Corey
seat.
in the hot seat. Whereas like if it had been reversed, like
Yeah.
You know, maybe
it probably would have went a lot easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like even if it had gone like both ways, like okay, like Corey, sit down. We're gonna like I don't want to say like push a boundary, but like test a boundary, and then like okay, Wilder, sit down. Let's test a boundary. Like
they didn't
go back.
switch
It was
at
just
all.
like Corey, sit here and watch us ramp it up. Like,
but that's the thing. Like they knew that, so they were like, you know what, you're gonna be in the hot seat because it's gonna make good TV.
Yeah.
But but that's the thing. Like it would have been such a different experience if they would have had the moment where they would have switched and been like, okay, cool. Like you did this with your single. Now we're gonna do it with the other partner. Like that would have been such a different dynamic.
And she may have experienced some of that NRE, some of the excitement that, and I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting those three people's names: Corey Wilder and
Denise.
Thank you. That because she talked about him pushing the boundaries, and sort of that was where some of their trust issues came from the beginning. But NRE is a thing, and people's emotions overcome them. And if she was feeling comfortable in that seat and was going further than maybe he was comfortable, she would have at least had some empathy for maybe that experience during that time. We don't know so much of the backstory of what happened. I'm not saying that he didn't necessarily do something wrong, but there's feelings that come up that on both sides could have been so helpful for them to experience.
Yeah. Another thing is because they had all of them sleeping together and they were like together the whole time. And I feel like when you're in a situation like that, like there's a lot of conversations that have to go on between the couple. That's like, hey, I had this come up, and you work through that. But you're literally like sleeping now with a stranger, and you can't. Like, how are you supposed to be that vulnerable? Just right out the gate. It wasn't setting them up for success.
And I felt like there was so many times where like the couple was together having conversations and the single was alone / with the other singles, like having conversations, like real life conversations that I felt like they were talking about really good things. And I'm like, why aren't you with your throuple? Like if you actually want to like figure this out and work through it. There were so many lapses in communication that I was just, and it's so much like you just don't know what was kind of produced for that, where it was like, okay, producers are like, all right, singles, like you guys go and talk, and then the couple can talk. Whereas like in IRL, like in real life, you would want to like have the conversations that they're talking about individually. You want that to happen all together in order to actually like create avenues for it to be successful. That part was really strange for me, that like the couple was never alone really having conversations with other people, but the singles were always having conversations with other singles. Like,
I think that's actually it's an excellent point, and I think it happened because they were separated all the time. Singles on one side, they were like two groups, two camps, and they never really meshed to be a unit. They've always, if they had any problem with the couple, instead of going to talk to the couple, they would go to their friends where they felt more comfortable. Yeah, right. I think maybe that was a psychological tactic. Very smart.
Well, the singles, they had nowhere to go but each other, I guess. Even the confessional couch or whatever, the confessional camera. You oftentimes got the couple on there, expressing what they felt and what they were going through and talking with each other, something like that. Very rarely, there were a few times with Jonathan, but very rarely did you see the single on the confessional couch, telling the camera, telling the producers, what they're dealing with, what they're going through, the struggles, they're having, or successes, or again, mention the therapist.
I cannot hear you say.
Again, the poly therapist that's there on site. I assume they were there for that job, and I don't know why that wasn't like a daily check-in either. But the whole show seems like it should have been flipped around, where the focus was more on the singles, and the couples were working to gain the favor of the singles.
Right. Yeah, that's something we noticed right away. I think you said it, Josh. I don't. How unrealistic it is, because we all know the couples are the ones who are fighting really hard to get the singles. It's not the other way around.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, and I also think, like, when you're talking about it and thinking of it just in the way of what this show was set up as, if you're a single and you don't get chosen, you don't get to be on the show, right? Like, there were many singles that we saw over and over, week to week to week, And I don't even know half of their names because they never got chosen.
That's perfect though. You get a free trip to Panama and you don't even have to be on a stupid show. So
I was literally saying, I want to see the cameras into the singles resort.
I know,
Like I'm like, okay, so like they didn't get chosen, so they get to go back and like
party.
What did they do? Because I think that would be the better show.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when they went into Panama City, and they had friends and family, of the couple there, to kind of vet the single. Like the single's not having a hard enough time. You got to go through all the friends and family and stuff like that. Where is the representation for the single? Where is their friends and family that got a free night in Panama to come down there? But like, should the couple not have to be vetted by the singles friends and family? Like these are people, and it seems like the show kind of forgot that. About dehumanizing.
We were literally joking about who would have come down for that part where it's like, you have your two people and like we're like, okay, we think it'd be this person and this person. But yeah, I'm like, I got friends since I was the single that came into my relationship. And I'm like, it would have been great if they would have brought my best friend down or my sister or my mom. Like they have opinions about this too, but we don't talk about that.
It was very much about like how the single fits into the couple's life versus like how do the couples fit into the single's life.
They weren't like
they
combining.
they were the addition to the couple's life.
He was literally adding a third.
And the whole situation, the whole situation made me mad because like I was the single that came into our dynamic, and like meeting their friends and family was such a big moment for me because it was like this like solid point in our relationship, and we had worked hard to get there. We'd had to overcome so much with like family like issues because y'all had been married for 10 years at the point that I came in, 11 years. And so their families were like, there was a lot of upheaval. And like, that was such a big thing for me. And they just like took that from all of them and just bombarded them with like questions and grilling and made it as uncomfortable as possible. I was so furious. Like I was so angry during that episode.
Yeah. We were all pretty much like, the hell you did not about that. Cause I mean, we don't know how much they'd been, they'd given their permission for things, but like it'd be very easy to like cross some big boundaries, just hauling friends or family, down there and be like, oh, guess what? Now you're meeting family.
Yeah.
Well,
whether or not.
Like, if you think about it in those big moments, like one, the stable throuple was already gone. So like, best of luck, like bye, good luck. And then you have the throuples that had just formed. Like Max, Ash, and Becca had literally just gotten back together the day before, and now you're going to introduce her to your family? Right. Like, ooh, versus people who had been with their single for weeks. Like, it was yucky.
Yeah, that was actually very insensitive. Coming out is a big deal, and they just threw these people in the middle of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big surprise, for the couples to see, their friends and family, sitting there in the bar, like, oh, like, wow, imagine the shock and surprise on the single.
Right.
Like, they're still like not even scratching the surface of having a relationship with these two other people, and now you're gonna put them, in literally a bar environment with alcohol, and like, okay, here you go. Now build a relationship with people that are important to the people you're trying to build a relationship with, on top of everything. So.
Yeah. And not to mention that these guys didn't even know yet whether or not they were actually wanting to stay together after they went home.
It's like The Bachelor, but even at that point, like The Bachelor had been with the lady for like many while long before you meet the family, right? And this was it just, oh man, it felt so icky.
I just didn't know if they wanted to be Love Island or The Bachelor. Because you can't be both, but I really tried.
Yeah.
You cannot be Love Island and The Bachelor.
I find it funny that no one's brought up Ramon, Ashmal, or Jonathan. This is
because that was a dumpster fire, and we don't want to talk about that. It's too much.
I love them.
That
the whole rest of the time.
I was gonna say, do you want to schedule a follow-up just on that? Because we could literally talk about it the entire time.
Let's get into this. We know the ending now. Everybody knows the ending, right?
Well, I was really happy to see that Ashbal had had broken up with the whole thing and was like, nope, I'm done. Like,
Yep.
yeah, I think
Good
that,
for you.
I think that was a good move.
It and oh man, it was that was something that was so hard to watch because one, Ashmal and Rahman, just in general, like they went through so much conflict. And yet again, I say collateral damage. Like Jonathan was just there and doing his best and really trying to like figure it out. And then like it comes back to it. And it's like when Jonathan is like, nah, like I got to step out of this toxic ass situation. And then they were like, oh, he broke up with us. He blindsided us. And it was like, yeah, because of your bad behavior. Like,
then he
take a
sucked
second.
into it. Jonathan got sucked into it and he became like them, drama driven. And I'm like, what are you doing? I had respect for you.
That was so hard. And yeah, like lo and behold, no one ended up in a couple or a throuple at the end of that one.
Yeah.
So
Ashmal seemed okay, but man, Rahman had some issues. He was extra. He was doing.
It was interesting and uncomfortable to watch.
It made you feel really bad for Ashmal. Like he feels.
It made me feel really bad about everything. Like just seeing the way the communication between them, which was not existent. I've never seen anything like it, and it was really good to watch. It was I appreciate it, but at the same time, it made me. Why I say I appreciate it is because I hope I learned from it. But it made me feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it felt like Ashmal like wanted to be there for the most part. Like he wanted to get to know Jonathan or Frank or whatever, and it was always like Ramad and his very underdeveloped communication styles that just constantly got in the way. And like, as much as I appreciated that Ashmal was trying to support him as his partner and be like, hey, like, let's talk, let's work through this, there was so much emphasis on helping Rahman that Ashmal didn't really get anything out of the experiment, so to speak. He didn't really get to know Jonathan at all because he was having to focus so much on holding Rahman's hand through it rather than Rahman being able to take accountability for his own lack of communication skills. And like even in his confessional cameras, he was like, well, I just shut down and I can't communicate. Okay, well, the first step is admitting it, but the second step is working on it.
Doing something about it, yeah. Just by admitting you have a problem but not really doing anything about it doesn't make it right.
A lot of Rahman's responses seemed to me to be like almost like trauma responses, and I wouldn't, dare speculate about, why, but it seemed like he had a significant amount of like historical pain behind some of the things that were going on there. And that's one thing that made me think I wish that the show had handled better, because I love so much that they had a more diverse cast than what we usually see. But then what that means is, because of the type of show that it is, they took a bunch of largely queer people of color, put them in this pressure cooker on reality TV without support. A lot of people got triggered and had like a lot of very like deep historical stuff coming up, and there were no real resources for them. So then who do we end up complaining about? The black couple and Ashmal and Rahman.
Yeah.
And that to me is not quite fair.
Where's the expert? Bring in the expert. Yeah. Bring in the expert. Bring in the expert.
She's always sun-tanning.
Yeah.
She's in Phoenix.
She had a great vacation for 4 weeks. Yeah.
She did a great vacation.
Yeah.
You're so right. Are you Jesse in the middle? Is that the order?
No, I'm Kate. This is Jesse.
Kate. Oh, Kate. Oh, Jesse. Sorry. Okay, I'm just looking at the names. Kate. 100% spot on. I was so hesitant to actually bring that up. I was like, this is going to go way too deep. But I think you nailed it, literally. And I have compassion for these people so much. And there's some sort of trauma history. There is something there from early childhood, and it's getting dramatized in a way that we make these judgments around people. And you have to have such good work done before any relationship. I talk about this all the time. 2-person, 3-person, 4-person, doesn't matter how many. It's only gonna exacerbate problems that are under the surface when you add people. And it's unfortunate that they put people that clearly had not
add people
any sort of
and add cameras.
Yeah.
And
alcohol.
And a little bit of alcohol.
Yeah, I mean,
and a little bit of single swapping.
And no support from anybody that actually knows you.
And camera showers too, for some reason. We have showers.
That was amazing. I wanted to talk too. I don't know how you guys felt about. So in their rooms, they had the pictures, and like that to me felt so weird because like it's 2024. You're telling me that this show on a major streaming platform can't take a picture of this newly formed throuple together, print it out, and frame it before they go to bed?
I don't think that was ever the point. They struggle so hard to create this division between the couple.
It
and
is.
because
The
the single
couple,
was there temporarily. Yeah, you could be out of here in no time. So just
like
take
here,
pictures out
you're
of
gonna
there.
sleep together, you're gonna drink together, you're gonna do these crazy challenges together. But when you wake up in the morning and you sit up, the first thing you're gonna see is your couple and you separate.
Yep, the plus,
Like,
plus third, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Also the number of ways that they said like relationship and you're I was like, can we just not? Like I'm cringing so hard.
Pick a term.
Right. Like
No, it's definitely
relationship only
strategy.
works if a marriage is a two relationship.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep. Well, even despite all the support, like the lack of support and everything they had, there was still a lot of personal growth. Like Brittany came out of it at the end saying like, all right, so I am actually like fully bisexual. Like she realized that about herself. And then Dylan and Lauren like realized things about the way that they relate. And like you saw all of this. And like I was saying earlier, I know there were things that Corey and Wilder and Denise worked through that they never showed us. So like we've talked about all the time on the podcast, like a relationship like this is going to bring stuff up and you have to be self-aware and you have to be willing to put in the work. And I think most of the people on that show, couples and singles, really were trying to put in the work, even though they didn't have all the support. And I mean, in fairness, a lot of the people just didn't have the right chemistry either. And then you take them back home and they're all in different states and, you know, all the other stuff. Of course,
That's a good point. I didn't see chemistry at all.
Chances.
I didn't see the chemistry at all, and I don't think it was because it wasn't there. I think it's because they didn't show it to us. Because I was very surprised when Corey, Wilder, and Denise decided to leave because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Did anybody else put themselves in the shoes that if they were the couple, which one they would have picked? Because they seem like to me slim pickings. I didn't want to pick any of them.
We actually stopped after the first episode and we're like, okay, if you were the single, which couple would you choose? And if you were the couple, which single would you choose? It was slim pickings. At least, especially from the couple side, we were like, I was like, maybe Lauren and Dylan. And then like as we went through, I was like, absolutely not.
Right.
The more you got to know, you're like
that's something that when you saw that as a single, when you saw that the previous single that was chosen by a couple was like running, why would you even step forward to be with that couple?
Totally.
Like run.
Very unbelievable.
Like there's a reason she had a bad time. Like,
and she's never gonna know because now they're separated. She's at the house and she's at the she's off campus.
Yeah, I think everybody was picked on purpose for dramatic effect. I think whoever did the picking, the casting, was very, very talented at picking the right people for dramatic effect. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just to bring them back into it again, I think that if they had actually brought in Brigitte Nielsen and Flava Flav, towards the end of the show as another one of the couples, that would have made it quality viewing. But Shara brought up a good point about the chemistry too. Though they're only there for a few weeks, and you have that weighty expectation that like you're supposed to find somebody and make chemistry there. It's like, I mean, you're still only talking about a dozen singles or whatever. Half of might fit into your niche, what you're looking for. So like there's not that many people that you could expect to find chemistry right out the box with. So
That's
you're
right.
Trying to kind of force it in a short amount of time because that's what you're there for. And so there's probably a lot of trying way too hard on a relationship that if you were out in the real world you wouldn't have given it a second thought.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, is there anything, and I'm asking all of you, is there anything that surprised you about the show? Was it what you were hoping for? Because everybody that I spoke with was saying it's going to be a disaster. And a lot of people said they're never going to watch it. They're not even going to give it a chance. Was that
I think the first episode, I went into it, like, obviously thinking it was going to be trash. The first episode, I was like, ooh, there's an expert. Like, it seems like this seems like it might be okay. And actually, my best friend messaged me and was like, hey, have you watched the show? Like, I'm about to start it. And I was like, yeah, like, we just started it, whatever. And then she messaged me after she had watched the first episode, and she was like, it's not as much of a shit show as I thought it would be. And I was like, have you watched episode 2? And she was like, nope. And I was like, cool, like, let me know. And then and so it's like, I feel like the first episode I had so much help. And then it just was like, woo.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. The help was less, the drama was more. They were just kind of,
Yeah, I went in with very, very low expectations. So, it was hard to be disappointed or anything. I mean, again, I've got mixed feelings about it. It was absolute train wreck, but, it got polyamory out there. It got, a relationship dynamic like what we have out there. So, like, I guess, any exposure is good.
Yeah, at this point where we're so, like, not exposed as a real relationship, I think, any exposure is good exposure.
There was a lot of exposure on that show.
There was a lot of exposure.
Very much
I hope it doesn't reinforce too many of the negative stereotypes. The people that we come across that were the first people that they've ever met that were into this kind of relationship. I don't want them to walk away watching that show thinking that that's anything like
our
lives,
Yeah, that's where we have to come in.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say, Josh, Sharon, Liv, do you guys have any, for the wrap up for this, like intention to try to maybe say what we would do differently or how our relationships are working?
We
land on something good for
definitely think we should say that.
That would be great. I'd put a plug in for that.
Yeah.
If anyone is out there watching that it really is not like that, or
it's
the
not.
ones that are successful, what are we doing differently, and that there is hope would be really great.
Well, that's been the mission ever since we started. We just want to interview healthy throuples, and we really haven't found any unhealthy ones so far.
Yeah.
And the more we interview around the country and now internationally around the world, we find everybody's pretty much the same, and we're the people you meet at Costco, we're the people down the street, you're friends and neighbors. We're not that crazy as like these reality shit show paints us out to be, or Dr. Phil thinks we are, apparently.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That was something. Huh?
Yeah, that was the whole point of this. Like, here we are, all of us coming together, talking about the show. It wasn't the point of like trashing the show, but putting the show in the light that it deserves, that is not realistic.
We found
maybe called reality TV, but it's not real.
There's a lot of throuples, on social media and out and about, but there was no connection. We weren't a community. So our whole mission has just been to create community. Let's plug in together and share resources and find out how we do life. And it seems to be working. The Facebook group, it's working really well there at the Throuple Talk Connection Hub. And it just seems to be working out pretty well so far. So I'm glad so far that we started this because it's been helping a lot of people.
And when
I just want to like hang out with all of you guys, like on Zoom.
I know.
Like in general, like let's,
Well, we just
let's hang out.
Triad in
That's
Texas.
actually a great idea.
We should plan a retreat.
Barbecue.
Let's all just like get together and like take the world by storm.
How would you guys feel? I don't know, you Throuple Talk podcast, like how would you guys feel about doing like a semi-regular like live stream like this where like other
that's what I was thinking. Like
awesome.
And not only that, we should definitely have events like Zoom events or something where we get together.
Yeah, like just have it be like topic based. So like, hey, this month we're gonna talk about like these topics with these throuples. Come hang out. Like
that's a great idea.
Like hour or whatever, and like people can pop in and just see like normal people, not crazy reality
normal
stars talking about life.
Well, what is
no, that's
normal?
a great idea. We should definitely make this a regular thing.
Yeah. Real life, not reality TV.
IRL.
Yep.
IRL, yes.
Yep. And to close what you were saying, Josh, like the surprise that we have had meeting all these throuples, including you guys, is how emotionally intelligent everyone is, how serious everyone is, how in love and respectful they are to the relationship and to their partners. It's been amazing. Yeah, amazing. Yep. Everybody that we've interviewed, we've learned something from them.
Absolutely.
Every single throuple that we interviewed.
And we've learned something from watching all the interviews. So, you know.
Yep. That's
it's been a great thing.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome.
If it helps the ratings, I mean, I will wear a thong.
I'm sure it'll make it in the
Aaron
trailer.
will too.
No,
he's
Aaron
gonna
will
be-
not. Absolutely.
I've seen some of the stuff you've made, Aaron. I don't believe he wears
Absolutely
that.
No,
I saw like that taco shorts or whatever that was in the universe.
The shark.
Oh, was it a shark? Yeah. Well, thank you guys all so much for hanging out with us
Yes.
tonight. It was a pleasure having you
been
guys
awesome.
and talking about couple to
This
throuple.
is so cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
See you
this
guys
so
at the
much.
next one.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Thank you all. Good
Have a
night.
good night.
Happy 3-3.
Bye.
Bye.
What are the last ones? Oh, hi.
Bye.
What's everything?